Hello, beautiful people. Have you ever studied grammar for years and still struggle to speak English? Many people spend a long time studying English grammar. They read grammar books. They watch grammar lessons. They understand rules very clearly. They know which tense to use and where to put verbs. On paper, their English looks good. But when it is time to speak, something changes. They hesitate. They pause too much. They feel nervous. Sometimes they know what they want to say, but the words do not come out smoothly. If this is your experience, you are not alone. And more importantly, it does not mean you are bad at English. It happens because grammar study and speaking use different systems in the brain. Grammar trains you to think about language. Speaking requires you to use language automatically. When you study grammar, you usually have time. You sit calmly. You read a rule. You understand why a sentence is correct or incorrect. You analyze the structure. Your brain works slowly and carefully. For example, you learn that when you talk about the past, you need to change the verb. You learn that go becomes went. You learn sentences like, I went to school yesterday. In a book or class, this feels simple and logical. But real conversation is very different. Imagine someone suddenly asks you, what did you do yesterday? You do not have time to open a grammar book in your head. You cannot slowly think, yesterday means past means past tense of go is went, and then decide what to say. Real life does not wait. So your brain tries to do too many things at the same time. It tries to remember rules. It tries to avoid mistakes. It tries to speak clearly. This pressure causes hesitation. That is why grammar knowledge often stays inside your head but does not come out in your speech. Now think about how you speak your first language. When someone asks you a question, you do not think about grammar rules. You do not think about sentence structure. You simply answer. Your response is automatic. This automatic ability comes from years of listening and using the language, not from studying rules. As a child, you did not learn grammar first. You listened to people around you. You copied words. You repeated sentences. You made many mistakes. Slowly, without realizing it, your brain learned patterns. Language entered your brain through experience, not explanation. Grammar is useful, but it works best after your brain already knows the language in a natural way. When grammar comes first and experience comes later, fluency struggles to develop. Many learners believe that once their grammar becomes perfect, speaking will become easy. But often the opposite happens. As grammar knowledge increases, fear also increases. You start judging every sentence before you say it. You worry about being wrong. You stop yourself in the middle of speaking to correct grammar. This breaks the natural flow of speech. Fluency is not about producing perfect sentences. Fluency is about continuing to speak even when sentences are simple or imperfect. Native speakers do not speak perfect grammar all the time. They pause. They repeat themselves. They change sentences halfway. They use simple words. But they keep communicating. Let us look at a simple example. Imagine you want to say that you are tired. A grammar-focused learner might start thinking, should I say, I am tired, or I feel tired? Is tired an adjective or a past participle? Is feel the correct verb here? All this thinking happens before the sentence is spoken. But a fluent speaker simply says, I am tired, because they have heard this sentence many times before. It feels natural. No thinking is required. That feeling of, this sounds right, is more powerful than knowing rules. Grammar explains language. Listening builds language. This is why many people feel they are improving when they study grammar, but they do not feel improvement in speaking. Grammar study gives understanding, but speaking needs training. Speaking is a skill, like swimming or cycling. You cannot learn swimming by reading about it. You need to enter the water. You cannot learn cycling by understanding balance theory. You need to sit on the bicycle and practice. Grammar study usually happens without pressure. Speaking always happens with pressure, even if it is small. If your brain is never trained under that pressure, it freezes when speaking is required. This is why some learners speak well alone but struggle in front of others. Their brain knows English, but it was not trained to use English in real time. Now imagine another situation. You go to a restaurant and want to order food in English. You studied polite grammar. You know modal verbs like would and could. You know correct sentence structures. But when the waiter asks, "What would you like?" your mind becomes empty. This happens because you learned grammar, not situations. Fluency grows when language is connected to real moments. Listening to real conversations teaches your brain ready-made expressions. Phrases like, "I would like," "Can I get," or "I will have," become familiar. You do not build them using grammar rules each time. You recognize them as whole units. Fluent speakers use these units naturally. Grammar-focused learners often try to build sentences word by word. That is slow and stressful. Another important issue is mistakes. Grammar education often teaches that mistakes are bad. Wrong answers are marked. Errors are corrected immediately. This creates fear. But mistakes are not enemies of fluency. They are part of learning. Children make countless mistakes when learning their first language. Nobody stops them every time. Nobody tells them to stay silent until they are correct. That freedom allows fluency to grow. Adults often do the opposite. They stay silent to avoid mistakes. Silence feels safe, but it stops progress. Fluency requires permission to be imperfect. Now, this does not mean grammar is useless. Grammar is helpful. It improves accuracy. It helps with writing. It helps you understand why something sounds wrong. But grammar should support speaking, not replace it. The real problem is focusing on grammar alone. Fluency grows from three main experiences. One is listening. Regular, simple listening. Listening trains your brain to recognize patterns. Over time, your brain starts predicting sentences. That prediction is fluency. Another experience is repetition. Repeating sentences out loud trains your mouth. Reading silently does not train speaking muscles. Your mouth needs practice to move smoothly in English. The third experience is low-pressure speaking. Speaking without trying to impress. Speaking to express simple ideas. Talking to yourself. Describing daily actions. When pressure is low, fluency grows. Grammar should come after these experiences. When you hear a structure many times, grammar explanations suddenly make sense. For example, you hear sentences like, "I have been working all day," again and again. Later, when grammar explains this tense, it feels clear and natural. Experience first. Explanation later. Many learners reverse this order. They wait to speak until grammar feels perfect. That waiting often never ends. Fluency is built while speaking imperfectly. If you studied grammar for years and feel stuck, your effort was not wasted. That knowledge will help you refine your English later. But now, the focus needs to change. Move from thinking to using. From rules to patterns. From fear to familiarity. Fluency is not speaking fast. Fluency is speaking comfortably. You do not need advanced vocabulary. You do not need complex sentences. Clear, simple English is powerful. Many learners wait until they feel ready to speak. But readiness comes from speaking. When you speak more, your brain adapts. One day, you will notice that you answer without translating. You speak without checking rules. You continue speaking even after a mistake. That moment is fluency. Not because your grammar became perfect, but because your brain learned to trust itself. This is why studying grammar alone will never make you fluent. But combining grammar with listening, speaking, and patience will. You are learning even when progress feels slow. Keep going.